Good morning. It's Friday, December 19th. I'm Phil Streible, Chief Market Strategist at Blue Line Futures. So I got the drone warming up over here. We're going to fly something out 400 yards this weekend in the Gulf of Mexico, see what we can catch. Now, I'll be joining the Schwab Network here at 8:10 a.m. Central Time to share my outlook on the precious metals, the commodities markets for the remainder of 2025 and into the coming year. I'll also be publishing another update this weekend called Navigating the Week Ahead. It's going to outline the key charts, the levels, the insights here for the upcoming week in the precious metals and macro markets. So if you haven't done so, please register in the link in the description below and we'll shoot that out to you over the weekend. So it was been a busy week here with data, central banks meetings. Yesterday we received the latest reading on CPI, Consumer Price Index, which I believe will have a significant factor and play a role in the Federal Reserve's next decision at that January 28th meeting. So CPI year over year increased 2.7% for November, came in well below analyst estimates of 3.1%. The core figure, which excludes food and energy, increased by 2.6%, falling well below those expectations as well. Meanwhile, you had the Bank of Japan. They raised rates to 0.75% here, the highest in 30 years, but much of that was priced in. If you look at the FX space, you do have quite a bit of red on the screen here with everything from the Japanese yen, British pound, Canadian dollar, euro currency, Mexican peso, even the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar, all in the red here. And what's that doing? That's boosting the dollar index up 0.2%. And what is that doing? That's weighing in on the gold market right here. And it's also driving 10-year treasury yields higher. So it's an interconnected framework and a process that we follow here by going through a checklist on a daily basis of what to watch. You look at the Bank of England, well, they cut rates by 25 basis points to 3.75%. Viewed it as a hawkish cut with risk to further easing, which means that, hey, they're going to probably pump the brakes here and keep an eye on a couple different things because they've had some problems with inflation in the past. They've had some problems with employment, things like that. They're going to want to get back to the basics here as far as the direction is concerned, and perhaps maybe they're near their terminal rate. The ECB, they left rates unchanged and are going to take it meeting by meeting while upgrading their economic outlook for the next 2 years. So again, we care about this because of the fact that it impacts the dollar, the gold market, which could play a role in the direction of silver. If we're going to impact the gold market, well, then we're going to impact the gold-silver ratio as well, which sits at about 65-1. So we do have gold under a bit of pressure here at $43.55, down about $9. And this comes after futures top 4,400 briefly during yesterday's trading session. Futures, I believe, are eyeing those all-time highs at 44.30 on the February futures contract with major support at 41.90. I believe that dips will remain above that level at this point in time. Your major trend support sits at 39.70, and really only a break below that on a sustained basis would jeopardize this bullish trend. Now you look at the silver futures rebounding overnight to $66 after hitting an all-time high of $67.18 on December 17th. People were calling me left and right, texting me about some fake AI videos circulating about an emergency meeting. I really believe that any channel you watch on YouTube, you really got to do your due diligence by asking yourself like 3 main questions. When was the channel created? That particular channel was created 7-8 days ago. Is there a website associated with the channel? No, there's nothing there. Who's the content provider here? Are they regulated by any kind of government agency? No, it's just a fake AI person that was created that is spewing misinformation out there. If you look at us, you can go to bluelinefutures.com. You can open up an account with us here. You know, I'm a licensed futures commodity broker for about 25 years here who's worked with thousands and thousands of individuals. The credibility I have is I'm put on CNBC, the Schwab Network, Yahoo, Bloomberg, Fox Business, things like that. And I could tell you that if there was going to be any kind of action taking place, I think that the easiest way in order to curb some of the controls in a silver market would be to increase that overnight margin. So you take the overnight margin and then you divide that by what the full value of the contract is, and you're going to get your margin to notional value ratio, which sits at about 7%. So it's not 10, 25, 50%. So as far as I'm concerned, you just carry on, stick to the process. The reality is that margin requirements should have been raised once the average true range on the silver market was breaching $2-3 higher in either direction, one or another. And then since then, we've relatively stabilized here, and the average true range has been $2. So not really that big of a deal whatsoever, in my opinion. Now you look at the platinum market, that's closing in on that 2000 level and really surging to the highest since 2008. It's the European Union's proposal here to ease some of those emission rules on new cars and scrap its effective ban on combustion engines. And it comes as we see the third consecutive annual deficit due to supply disruptions in South Africa. So platinum futures, in my opinion, I believe that we could see those all-time highs up over $2,200 an ounce sometime into 2026. So we'll see what happens here. We do also have copper futures recapturing 550, which has been a resistance levels, and we'll see how that plays out because this tends to be the pivot point for the copper market. Can it break higher, start some new levels, drift up to that $6 range here, or are we going to settle back down to support near 535, 525, things like that? So if you guys got any questions, shoot an email, info@bluelinefutures.com. Don't forget to register. Take a look at the Schwab Network here. I'll be on there giving that outlook, 8-10 a.m. Central Time. And remember that futures and options trading does involve risk of loss. May not be suitable to all investors. Good luck. Have a great weekend. Watch those Bears. They're going to win. They're going to beat those Packers. So that's one thing that I'm very confident in. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.